Hello everyone, and in this video, I'm going to go over part of the project or a couple of the aspects of the project and give you a feel for determining product cost. So here we have a fairly simple spreadsheet, and what we're trying to determine is the storage shed manufactured. How much does it cost to make this storage shed? And so, as you should know by now, what goes into this product is the direct material cost, the direct labor cost, and then an application of overhead, an allocation of overhead based on some activity or criteria. So we want to figure out what this shed cost us to manufacture. So let's start with direct labor. And it's going to take 12 hours of direct labor to assemble this shed. And we pay the assembly people $18 an hour, and we give them benefits that cost $20 an hour. So, what are the total direct labor costs that are involved? So, what we need to do is multiply the number of hours times the fully loaded rate, which means that the hourly rate plus the benefits. Now, you can see that the benefits are 20% of the rate. So you can do this of one or two ways. You can kind of do all right, I'm going to figure out the hourly rate, which is going to be 18 plus 18 times 0.2. All right. And you can see 20% of $18 is $3.60. Add that to $18 and you get 21.60. And so that's the fully loaded rate. And we're going to multiply that by the number of hours, and that's going to give us 259.20. All right. What about the direct materials? Well, that's simply quantity times price, which is really what this is. Quantity times cost or price is 21.60. And I'm a little anal retentive, so I'm going to do that. So this is again just the quantity of 12 times 348 each. And if you know Excel, you can use this little handle here and you can spread the formula and you can see, all right, these are the total costs. And all right, and so now I need to apply overhead. So the estimated overhead is $150,000. The activity using is estimated total labor hours, 7,500. So the first thing I need to know is what is the overhead rate? And it's just simply $150 times 7,500 hours, 20. And so now I just need to multiply quantity, which is 12 hours, because we're doing it on estimated total labor hours, times rate. And the rate is 20 bucks an hour. And so now we just need to sum this. And again, you can hit the sum, spread this. And so that storage shed cost us $936.36 to make. And you can see it here as well. So we determined the labor, which is quantity times rate. Parts, quantity times rate. Overhead, quantity times rate. And we come up with the 936.36. Second example is a bike manufacturer. And in this case, you're going to need to figure out all the amounts in yellow. Now, I've already figured these out for you. And what you will have here are, if it's not in yellow, then it should be a formula. You can see here is the adding all these up for you. This will add everything here, and this will add everything here. Okay, the overhead, but you have to determine the overhead, and these will total as well. we're starting with a balance raw materials of $10,000. So every time we pull raw materials out, our raw material budget or our raw material account will decrease. And you can see here that it's the prior balance of 10,000 less the 275 we pulled out. And so here we're looking at first, again, direct labor. We have per hour is $20. We have benefits of 25%. So 25% of 20% is $5. So we're looking at $20 per hour salary plus $5 in benefits. And so that's $25. Our direct labor hours is one. And so you'll probably need to determine this amount as well on the project. All right. But once we've determined what the rate is, then again, it's quantity times rate. Quantity of 1 hour times the rate of 25. Do the same thing. In station 2, where they add gears, that takes a little more expertise. So we're paying them $25 an hour plus 25% of benefits. So their labor rate is $31.25. Quantity of 3 times rate is 31, etc. And so you do that. And so you'll first need to figure out this amount. And then you'll need to figure out this amount. And again, quantity times rate. So our total labor costs are going to be $180. Now, I will either have to say what stage this is in, or I'll have to give you this. I haven't decided yet. But in stage 1, we add pedals. And so we have to start with the frame and then we have the pedals. Okay. And so maybe I'll add that, but you'll have to figure out this. So then quantity times rate. So we need 2 pedals. They're $12.50 a piece. And I have no idea whether these figures are correct. I've just made them up. So don't go, hey, there's no way you can make a bike for this. So quantity times rate is $25. So in the first stage of production, we have $25 in direct labor. We have $275 in parts, and now we have to figure the overhead. So the overhead is going to be, you'll have to determine that. Again, total estimated overhead is going to be $360,000. And we estimate labor hours, so that's our activity. So that again comes to $20. And so quantity times rate. Quantity is 1 hour direct labor times $20. And so you just go down here. Gears. So add gears. Obviously, you'll add the gears. There are 10 gears, $7.50 a piece. Quantity times rate, 75. Stage 3, add brakes. Brakes, $35. 2 brakes, $17.50 each. So $35. Add seat. Seat is one of those. Unless I guess it's a bicycle built for 2, but you don't see too many of those. So we're going to add a seat of $25. And then we're going to add the chain. And then after that, we're basically through. And at each level, there'll be a different rate, same benefits. So you'll have to add those. And then again, quantity. Here you've got 3 hours times rate. Quantity times rate. Quantity times rate. I mean, it only takes half an hour to put on the seat. I'm sure someone experienced could probably do it in 10 minutes. But again, these are figures that I've made up. All right, so now we're looking at $435 in parts. And at each stage, we're going to pull from the raw material inventory. So you can see this, that I'm subtracting the parts used in that stage, and that's what this represents, from the prior inventory of 10,000. And so here, our raw material rate is now $97.25. The next stage, I pull $75 from raw material. Raw material budget goes down $96.50. Next one, 35, goes down to $96.15, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end, after this one bike is made, I have $95.65 in raw materials. Now, work in process is going to include the total cost at that stage. And this represents the total cost at that stage. And this represents the total cost up to that point. So these two, 320 plus 228, is equal to this $548. These three amounts is equal to the 625, so it's cumulative. And so this is really going to represent what your work in process inventory is going to equal. And so you can see that at each stage it increases because we're adding raw materials, we're adding direct labor, we're adding overhead. And see here, we had 3 hours quantity times rate. So the overhead was direct labor hours times $20, which is here. And if you're good with Excel, you can just use formulas. Now I'll give you how much it should be so that you'll know whether you're close or not. And that'll give you an idea of whether you need to go back and look at something. Now at the end of this, the bike's done. It's no longer work in process, it's a finished goods. So now work in process, well, we're moving this from work in process to finished goods. And so we're assuming in this situation we only have one item. And so now we have 0 in work in process, and we're finished goods are $745. So that sort of gives you the idea of the flow. Now, obviously, you're not only going to make one bike, you make plenty, but each bike could have a record. And so as each bike is completed, these transactions will take place. Hopefully, the bike manufacturer has an automated system where they can use the scanners, and that'll make it a much easier. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of people you need for the accounting department. There'll be one other section for this, which I will create and also give you an example on, but this will be 2/3 of the first project.